Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jacqueline Lopez. Today I will be sharing some DIYs with you. We are going to be making some Halloween tier tray decor. All of this decor is more of on the neutral farmhouse vibe of things, and I really love it. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I had fun making these DIYs for you. Almost 100% of what is on this tray is a DIY, so that has me really excited to share this with you. Let's just go ahead and get some usuals out of the way. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time that I post a new video. Like, comment, and share my video. That really helps my channel to grow. And let's just go ahead and get into the DIYing. For our first DIY, we're going to be needing some floral foam spheres. These are from Dollar Tree. Any scrap piece of fabric that is light enough to drape over, some black felt, wooden dowels, and then optional are these little wooden bases. You can leave it more as a pick if you'd like. Of course, you're also going to need pen or pencil to trace, scissors to cut, and some hot glue. So I'm going to start by tracing out our circles, and I started too small. You'll see once I cut them that it didn't work out. So I did end up tracing a normal size plate, and we got this circle. This is going to be the shape of our ghost. You can steam it or iron it if you want. I decided not to. I'm going to be using the medium size spheres in this pack. And then for our wooden bases, so that we have something to stick our dowel to, I went ahead and drilled some holes through them. They were very crooked, but I didn't want to fix them to make them straighter. But anyways, then we're going to move on to the head of our ghost. So I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue, stick our foam sphere, and as you can see, that gives us our ghostly shape. And then I'm going to do the dowel on the opposite side of the sphere, add some hot glue just to keep it all together. And then we're going to take our little base and we're going to stick it on there just so that it dries this way. The first one dried kind of flat for me. Anyways, to reinforce it, we're going to add some hot glue to the base as well, and that'll give us our cute little ghost. I'm gonna give him a belt just for a little bit, just so that this fabric kind of gets used to being this way facing down. If you have a lighter fabric, it'll work better. With the black felt, I'm just going to cut some circles for eyes and a mouth, and I'm gonna first test them out, see if I like the way it looks, and then we're just going to use some hot glue to glue its ghostly features on here. Now, this spooky pair that I went ahead and created were inspired by the lawn ornaments that everyone was DIYing over on Instagram, so I knew I had to make my own mini pair for my tier tray, and I really love how they turned out. And for our second DIY, we are going to be embellishing some witch hats. I got these from Hobby Lobby last year. They came in a pack of 3, and then we're going to be using whatever we already have on hand. I had some feathers, I had some pearls from Dollar Tree, and then some like gems or jewels that I actually took off of a shirt that I was no longer wearing. We're going to be needing a lot of hot glue and some scrap pieces of fabric. I'm going to start by playing around with my design, deciding what I want to be the back and the front. I'm going to prop it on this cube just so that I see it up from the table, because I am going to have it up on my tier tray. I decided to add a veil, so I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree mat and roller cutter to cut up my scrap pieces of fabric. And let me tell you, I am obsessed with this. If you spot them, get them, because they are really good. Now again, this is a DIY where you just do whatever you want, whatever feels good and right for you. So I decided to add a veil. I'm going to just hot glue everything here, and I'm going to let you watch the rest, because it's a bunch of just playing around with what I wanted my hat to look like. Okay, so at this point I knew I wanted something in the middle of like the belt of the hat, so I wanted to add some gems to it. They were too small, so I went ahead and cut a circle out of my felt, and I was going to kind of make my own brooch. Since all of these pieces were too small, I just made a cluster of them, and that would be my end piece. I made sure to have them go outside of my little felt circle, just so that it had more of a natural feel to it. And then it doesn't matter if some of the glue is over on the outside, because you can just very easily trim it off. Here is the end piece, and I'm going to attach that to the middle of the hat, and I absolutely love the way that it looks with this. I have wanted to do this DIY for 3 years now. I saw a picture on Pinterest of some adult sized ones up on a mantle, and I knew I had to at least start with a mini version, and I am obsessed with it. This video would not be complete if I didn't do a wood bead garland. However, this time we're making the Halloween edition, so I'm going to be using some black jute twine instead of my normal lace ribbon brown or white jute twine. So we're going to start by taking 9 25mm wood beads. I am leaving them natural since I did leave other DIYs natural, so just so that it all ties together. I'm going to start by threading all 9 of my beads into the jute twine. Again, I never trim off the ends until it's necessary, just so that I don't waste material. I'm going to take the top and make a little knot to create a loop here up top. Now I'm going to trim off the little end piece, and I'm going to put it through our top bead, add a little bit of hot glue, and then finish pulling it through so that it kind of has this more of a finished look to it. It just makes the whole DIY look more polished. I do leave some space between the beads so that they can move, and then I'm going to create a tassel. Now, I have done this in so many videos, so I'm going to speed you through it. But if you have any questions regarding tassel making or any of these DIYs, make sure to leave it in the comments and I'll get to it as soon as possible. Now I'm going to finish off my tassel the same way that I did the top loop, which is by trimming off a little piece of where I attached it, inserting it through the bottom bead, adding a little bit of hot glue and letting it dry that way. Also, I like to do this with my tassels. I take an extra piece, tie it around the bottom just so that it starts to take the shape of like a tassel falling down, because then the bottom is kind of sporadic and everywhere. But here is our finished product. Again, this is a very simple, but I really love the way the natural wood looks with a black jute twine. And for a final DIY, this is very simple, but it's going to be hard for me to explain. But basically all you need is some black wire, some scissors. I'm going to be using some of these Dollar Tree clamps and the cutting mat. Now I'm going to measure out how long I want mine. I want mine to be about 6 by 4. This is a spider web, so it's going to be angled. I'm going to cut my pieces to be longer than my actual measurements. So I need my piece to be longer than 10 inches because it does get folded here in the middle. So that it gives us like that really nice 90-degree angle. It doesn't have to be perfect, just as close as you can get it to be in that direction. Once you start adding the rest of your pieces, it'll start taking its shape and you won't need to have it clamped, but trust me, it just makes it easier to have it clamped the entire time. Now we're going to be cutting our pieces that are going to be what makes our web. So this is just the outline. Now we're going to add 3 pieces. Again, you can do as many as you want, but 3 is kind of the look that I like. We're just going to again cut them longer than we need them because we are going to need to curl up the ends. I'm just twisting the wire onto each other, and that's what's keeping it in place. Now we're going to cut the pieces that are going to be going in the opposite direction. That's what's going to give us our final webbed look. So just make sure that you cut it so that you have enough space to wrap it around each of them and to give them a little curve so that it does look like a web. And basically that's it. You're just going to be adding it to each one of these long pieces that we added in the opposite direction. The 3 of them. I hope that makes sense. And all I'm doing is I'm wrapping the wire around each one of them, and you're going to repeat this the entire way through. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just make sure that you're leaving room for the next one, so don't make your loops too far in between, because then you're going to have two of them be too close. Again, I'm hoping all of that is making sense. That's why I doubted making this tutorial here, but I hope it makes sense. Just keep doing this and do it throughout. During different times, I was moving the clamps to wherever it just made it easier for me to continue doing this wrapping around. Now these that we're doing here don't have to be perfect. As you can see here, I left the spacing different on all sides. Now it's time to finish off our ends with our little curly cues. So I'm just adding an extra smaller piece of wire to the bottom, just so that each one has two that I can curl up at the ends. I'm just going to, again, attach them by wrapping around the existing wire and then trimming off the pieces. Now you want these to be long, you don't want them to be too small, because when you roll them around, it does take up some of the length, and it's what ends up looking nicer is if you have them be different lengths and facing in different directions. And here are all of my ends curly. Again, face them in different directions, and that's pretty much it. Because this is made out of wire, you can kind of bend it in any direction that you like. I did forget to mention this black wire came in a 3-pack from Dollar Tree, and of course you can do it in any color that you want. Here is again the completed piece, and I really love this. I hope the tutorial made sense. And now we get to decorate our tier tray. I am starting off with this spooky book stack. I do have them listed on my Etsy shop, but I also show you how to do it in several videos here on my channel, so I'm going to leave that linked down below. Now this DIY I think is my favorite. My son and I made these spooky mugs. He went ahead and cut up the faces. These are just some espresso mugs from Hobby Lobby that we cut some faces out of felt and then hot glue them on. Again, since my son and I made them, I didn't record that, but it's a simple DIY to explain. I'm going to be using these Jenga pieces to prop up my mugs. Also adding a little lace doily, also available in my Etsy shop if you want to shop that. Now it's time for me to add my wood bead garland. I always add them here to the side of my trays. That's just the look that I prefer. It really makes it so that you can see the tassel. Now I'm going to play around with the placement of this webbing, and I just need to find a way so that it'll stay in place. If you don't have anything to hook it onto, you can always add a little bit of hot glue. Hot glue comes easily off of most items. So just play around with that, or maybe use a little bit of tape. Mine was easy to just prop around, and I went ahead and just, again, played with it until I found a place that I liked. I actually liked the way it looked up top the best, but I already had an idea of what I wanted up top, so I didn't end up adding it there. Another super easy DIY was this Dollar Tree haunted house. All I did was paint it in some black chalk paint and then took a sanding block to distress it just so that it had a little bit more of a spooky vibe. Now for our hat, going back to the Pinterest inspiration, I am adding it onto this candlestick. Nothing special, I'm literally just putting it in there, and then I'm adding it to my tray. And as you can see, I have two things draping on both sides. I love the way that looks, and they're both black. So now I'm going to be adding my cute little ghost, and as you can see, I have both ghosts on the same side, so there's too much black on one end and then too much cream on the opposite end, so I went ahead and switched those around, and now I have kind of like this X visual pattern up top and down below on this top level. And here is my completed Halloween tier tray. I love the way this turned out. I love that it has so many DIYs on it. So this is, I think, my favorite Halloween DIY that I have ever done. Everything just turned out so nice. I love the way everything works together. I especially love this neutral color scheme for Halloween. It just calls to me. So I hope that you like them as much as I did. Most definitely my favorite DIY is this witch hat because it is a dream in the making. Again, I've wanted to do this for 3 years, so getting to do it on a tier tray was like the cherry on top of all DIYs. If you have any questions on any of these DIYs, please don't forget to ask me in the comments down below. I will be very happy to answer any of your questions. As always, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so that you are notified anytime that I post a new video. Like, comment, and share. That really helps my channel to grow. And as always, thank you so much for taking time to watch my video, and you have a very good rest of your day. Bye bye.